We are live on the Google Hangout, Innovative Leadership with Pastor Ced. This is Ced Reynolds, the entrepreneurial pastor, and this evening I'll be talking about innovative leadership in reference to the power of a team. You'll have an opportunity this evening to look at 7 basic principles that I use to build teams and get the most we can get out of a team. Got a PowerPoint presentation I'll be using tonight, so you'll have a chance to see that, those of you that are watching. But if you're listening in this evening, I'll be just talking through, and if you would like to go to leadership.greatmobilebiz.mobi, you'll be able to see exactly what the presentation is tonight. It'll be a fun time this evening. Looking forward to it. I've been preparing myself for this time and to get on and get a chance to talk to folks about building the power of a team. We all want to know about teams and what it takes to build a team. And sometimes it's not as easy as we'd like to think it is, right? But as we understand how to go about it, we're going to go live this evening with this PowerPoint presentation right now. So we're on the screen. You should see a PowerPoint presentation right this very moment. And we're again talking about innovative leadership with Pastor Ced here. The power of a team. We've been discussing innovative leadership for the last several weeks now in reference to what it really means. And it's just something really simple, just taking an idea that currently exists and just adding a little bit to it, or taking some away, and you come up with an innovative idea that will give you an opportunity to do something a little bit better than it's been being done before. The goal is not just to be innovative, but to do something that's going to make a difference. And so that's what we're looking for when you're looking to be innovative. Our thing's really about leaders leading leaders. We do a lot of that, talking about that. And our resource guide that we have called Innovative Leadership is just about that, leadership resource for leaders of leaders. Tonight, so if you're looking at online, you'll see a PowerPoint presentation right in front of you here. And I'm going to go through 7 basic steps that will help you understand what I go through in reference to building a team. How do I build a powerful team? People look at the Santa community and say, now, how did you do that? Was that on purpose? Well, it was on purpose. And the people that are involved are, I believe, sent by God to do the job that they're doing. But there's some things that I do personally that make the difference, I believe, to get it to happen effectively. I think you can copy as well. The first thing is to look at the slide. It says prayerfully identify. And what we're looking to do here when we talk about prayerfully identify is to identify the people that are actively engaged in doing anything. Whatever the case might be, if you're in business for yourself, if you happen to be in ministry and you're seeing people that just automatically are engaged in stuff, they're doing things. And so you can prayerfully identify that they may be called to do a specific thing. It's basically just catching somebody doing something good. If you catch somebody doing something good, because you can catch a lot of people doing things bad all the time, but when you catch somebody doing something good, that's a prayerful identification. And when you get that identification with an individual, that's a good opportunity to really begin to engage with them a little bit as well. So prayerfully identify is a big component. I take time to do that. I just don't just jump right into it, because I see people all the time that I'm prayerfully looking at. And as I see their life, I see their manner of business, the way they function and do business, especially online. A lot of the folks that I deal with are online. It's really difficult to kind of really identify what people are about online, because you don't have a chance to really know them other than the words that they write. And you don't even know what the words that they write are their words, okay? So I do a couple things in my identification. One is actually to read what they write, communicate with them personally, and actually do that through an inbox and see what they write back on the spot. So if they can respond back to me in like manner, I know that we're on the same page at some point. And then at some point we'll do inbox that will have a voice message with it that will give them a chance to hear my voice a little bit. And then hopefully they'll respond back either in writing or by voice message. And then at the last point we'll do is, because it's online, we actually talk to the people individually. And then we have a chance at that point to identify more identification about who they are, what they're about, what their background's been like. And that identification helps to be helps us get the process started. Because again, all we've done right now is just prayerfully identify. We've not made any promises. All we've done is just doing some fact finding right now. But the identification process is the very beginning stage of building that strong team. So if you've done that with everybody you have on your team, now you're going to get 100% all the time? No, you won't. And if, matter of fact, the people that join your team, some of them will leave. Some of them won't be around forever, but even though you prayerfully identify them. Please understand that this is just a process that I go through that works pretty much in a good way. So it's something I've done in my church, something I do in my businesses and that I'm engaged in, and also something I do with the ministry that we have with the Santa community. So prayerfully identify. The second one, you look at the screen today, you're going to see that we talk about intentionally pursue. Now, when it gets into intentionally pursue, most of us, the single men, you know about and pursue, right? Okay, single men. And if some of you that are married people as well, you know about pursuit, and that's pursuing a person, a woman, and you know what that's like, and you know that you're intentionally doing something to get that person's attention. Well, in the area of pursuing here to build a team, we're not doing it quite that way, but what we are doing is actually we've identified, now we're intentionally pursuing, meaning we're going after that person. We're not stalking them, but to communicate with them. We want to identify more with them as well. We're getting a little bit deeper into identification, but we're intentionally going in a position, in a place rather, where these individuals know that we are looking at them. They know that we are. They know that we want to communicate with them. They know that there's something on our mind about them. So as you're intentionally pursuing, it's not a matter of being haphazard about it, but it's being very systematic about it. Again, here my intentional pursuit is on the phone. Intentional pursuit is through email. Intentional pursuit is through the inbox messages. Intentional pursuit is through tagging them in different things that I do online. Intentional pursuit is a lot of the things that we do online, even offline. Intentional pursuit is actually visiting people at their homes. Intentional pursuit is actually talking with them after class or talking with them after church. Intentional pursuit is inviting them to a particular class that you'd like to have them be a part of. Intentional pursuit is engaging them in a way that they've never been engaged before. So that's intentional pursuit. We're going to talk about engagement in just a minute here, but the idea behind intentional pursuit is really to be on purpose about it. Because as a leader yourself, you're looking to build a team. If you're not on purpose, the people that you join with you will not be on purpose. They need to know that you're on purpose. And they need to know that when you are putting out your effort to go after them, they feel a sense of being wanted. You hear that part? They have a sense of being wanted. And anybody that feels wanted will want to go to work for you, want to be involved with you, want to participate with you. And that's exactly what we're doing when we're building a team. You know, in the Santa community, what we begin to do is we pursued individuals that were active in the community. We saw some that actually raised their hand. That's part of their prayerful identification. Some people just raise their hand up. And then as a result of that, we actually pursue them by inviting them to the table, inviting them to a special meeting, inviting them to a private meeting, inviting them to a phone call that they can be a part of, inviting them to receive a phone call from me personally and have a chat with me or have a consultation with me. And then that's a situation where they're realizing that, okay, the leader is talking to me here. I've got the leader's attention somehow. What happened? Well, they were perfectly identified, number one, and then now they're being intentionally pursued. How we pursue them makes a difference. If it's a male pursuing a woman, you better be very careful. I've got to be very careful because there's a lot of women in our community. So I've got to pursue in such a way that it's still professional, very, very professional, and very sensitive at the same time, but always about ministry. And so as people are being pursued by me in reference to ministry, I talk about ministry all the time. I talk about the things that they do. Now, we get into personal life, that kind of thing on occasion, but that's not a big deal. But the goal, again, is to really be intentional about the pursuit and being careful how you pursue. So a woman going after a man, pursuing a man. I don't recommend that all the time. I don't recommend men going after women. But on occasion, that has to happen because, again, as a leader myself, I'm working primarily with women. So I have to be in a position where I don't offend them or say anything negative to them or say anything that's going to be out of line to them. Because not just reputation, but I don't want to be offensive to anybody. So we want to maintain an integrity that we want to continue to have that so that people will not just speak highly of us, but speak highly of our God. So that's really important as well. So we're talking about the power of a team tonight. And the first thing we talked about was being prayerfully identifying individuals that we're looking to bring onto our team. And then number two is simply this, intentionally pursuing those individuals as well. Number three is going to be actually actively engage with them. I would say engage with them, actively engage with. There's times when people come onto a team and they're just left alone. They're put in a position where they're just on the team and they're trying to figure it out on their own. Well, part of the identification that I'm doing is identifying people that are self-starters, people that are leaders within their own right, leaders of leaders for the most part. I rarely ever work with leaders that are not leaders of leaders. I rarely ever work with people. Now, this is the stage I'm at in my life right now. I rarely ever work with people that are not leading other people or have the capacity to lead other people, because my thing is to lead leaders of leaders who do the same thing that I do. And they'll begin to multiply themselves out in a big way because the leaders that they lead are going to be able to do the same thing. We'll talk about that as one of our last points, actually. So actively engage is to be I mean, really holding hands at that point, really hearing their vision. Hear this part. Because I'm the leader, doesn't mean I need to dump all my vision on them. Because I'm the leader, I already have the vision. I've already confessed the vision. I've already spoken the vision. I've already written the vision. I've already put it on video, and I've already put the vision out on, and the mission out, and the vision out, and I've already done all that stuff, right? So what we're doing is actively engaging with. Now we're listening to them. I'm actually spending time with the individuals that I've pursued intentionally, that I've identified in prayer. So now I'm actually engaging with them to find out who they are, what makes them tick, what gets them excited. I have a chance to talk to leaders in our teams now that I know that they're in the right spot because they start talking about their ministry. The Santa community has leaders in various capacities, and every one of them, I'm telling you, every one of them that we have right now, it may not always be this way, but I hope that it is. But right now, every one of our leaders, if you talk to them about their ministry, you'll hear the passion in their voice. The passion in their voice. That's what I heard when I talked with them in the active engagement. So when I actively engaged with them initially to start a project with Jeremy, for instance, Jeremy put together a project for the young adults, and he came to me initially, had this passion in his heart. Even before he started young adult ministry, I knew the passion was there. So here's the identification. Jeremy raised his hand. He raised his hand up, right? I prayerfully identified that he was the guy to do this thing. Then I intentionally pursued him by having him come into our life to some degree, talking with him on the phone a couple times, and then having put together a proposal to actively engage him as well. So he's now actively engaged with his own project, as opposed to saying, let me give you the cookie cutter program, you do this. That's not leadership. Leadership allows leaders to lead. And so with Jeremy, with Kara, with Demetrius, with Shamila, Mary, and all the ones that Joy, all the folks that lead, Christine, you name it, the folks that lead in our capacity, Mary and Jeffrey, all the folks that lead in our ministry. I'm going to name some names. I meant probably leave some people out, but I don't want to do that. But the idea is that when they lead, I have to really pay attention to what God's put on their heart. I've seen this happen in the reverse in a big way over the years, where a leader want to lead from the top. And the leadership from the top is nice because you got to have some kind of control, right? Well, here's what we're doing. We're identifying people that have a passion for leadership. We're intentionally pursuing them, and then we're actively engaging with them to determine what their vision is. Did you hear that? Determining what their vision is. They have a vision to do the thing that God called them to do, not the thing that God called me to do. Did you hear that? Because you see, the thing that God called me to do is to oversee, identify, and release these individuals that have a call of God on their lives to do the thing that he called them to do. So I'm overseeing a big thing. And the big thing includes their vision. So that's why they don't have to try to get to do all these different parts of the vision. They do the part that God's given them. And when I've actively engaged with them, they know at that point that because I'm active in the engagement with them, they know that I've heard their plead. They know that I've heard their cry for the women's ministry. They know that I've heard their cry for the young adults or the love and relationship group. They know that I've heard their cry. So with that being understood, that active engagement means a lot to those individuals, because again, anytime a leader of leaders engages with the leaders, hear this again, anytime a leader of leaders engages with the leaders, those leaders have a great respect for the leader, the primary leader. Not just a great respect for the primary leader, but they also have an understanding that the primary leader has a great respect for them. See, when I don't respect the leaders, I have a difficult time getting them to do anything. But when I respect the leader and I respect the vision that God's given them, they're able to move out and freely do it. If you notice that we have various leadership roles in our Santa community, and what goes on is that there are various different kinds of styles. The styles of leadership, every one of them have a different style of leadership, every one of them. And so the different styles of leadership, some are learning, some are growing, some are discovering, some are changing, some are stagnant. I mean, but they have different styles, and the different styles allow them to grow into the next level if they choose to. And if they choose not to grow at that point, they stay where they are, but they continue to watch around them, and they see also the people that are beginning to grow, people that are part of their leadership team begin to grow with them as well. So active engagement is a big part of what we do in our Santa community in reference to leadership, how I go about doing things. The fourth thing I'll talk about tonight is purposely release. Now, this is the fun part for me. I love this part because If I had to do just two things, identify and release, that'd be great, right? But I've got to do some other things in between, because we just can't identify and release people because we don't know what they know. We don't know what they can do. We don't know that we've spent any time with them yet. We haven't given them haven't gotten enough vision from them yet. We haven't got their heart just yet. So, but we want to get to a place where we can purposefully release. That is phenomenal when you think about it. To do it on purpose and release people into their destiny. I mean, releasing people into their destiny, and they get excited about the fact that somebody believes in me. When you listen, if you knew that you were on your destiny, you were on your road to destiny, on your road to doing the thing that God called you to do, and you just, the only thing that was holding you back is that you didn't know if anybody believed in you, and somebody came alongside you and says, I believe in you. I know you can succeed. I know you're going to do it. I know you can make it. I know it can happen. If somebody came alongside you and did that, how would you feel when you got released? Absolutely. You'd feel wonderful. You'd feel great. Well, this is just not a purposeful release in situation where we're just saying, you get out of here and you're gone. No, the purposeful release is that we stay with you. We continue to call you. We still continue to actively engage with you. We still continue to really pray for you and believe God with you. And even sometimes I even go back and pursue again for things that people say that they want to do, but they haven't done yet. And so that part is a really a blessed time, because I do a lot of stuff that helps people to really identify where they are personally, where their faith level is, what they really can accomplish with what they say they want to do, and then what their actual intentions are versus their actual actions. You hear that part? Their intentions versus their actions. The actions have to speak louder than the intentions. If they don't, you just got a basic intention that never gets fulfilled. A basic intention that never gets fulfilled if the actions don't speak louder than the intentions. So hear that part real clearly, because the actions got to be speaking real loud. So we're purposely release people to do big ministry and do it in a way that they've never done it before. Tonight we're talking about the power of a team and how we go about building a team. And I'm using the Santa community as my experience. I've done it with several other organizations that I'm part of a church. I've been a supervisor of over 23 churches at one time. I've served in other capacities as well, leadership areas. And so we've always built teams in different kinds of ways. And I've identified the niche that God has helped me to be able to do. So this is not something I've copied from a book. This is not something I've got from somebody else. It's something that God's given me to do myself. And it's working for me. So, but you can adopt or customize it to your liking as well. The next thing we talk about, we go into the area. Now, I didn't want to use the word religiously, but this will make sense to you when you hear it. But religiously observe. Religiously observe. Now, not stalking again. We don't want to go there. Okay? You get that word out of your mind. But religiously observe your leaders that have been released. These folks have been released into their destiny. Do they all know what they're doing? No, they don't. Do they all have confidence? Not all the time. Okay. Do they all fail? Once in a while. Do they all succeed? Sometimes. Yes, they do. So we religiously observe so that we can know how to communicate. If I don't observe the leaders that are in our community, that means that that doesn't mean that I'm actually commenting all their posts and I'm observing them. They don't know when I'm observing them. They don't know when I'm inside of an inbox somewhere. I'm in an inbox watching what they're talking about. I'm actually online, and sometimes in the middle of the afternoon, middle of the day, I'm online looking at the different posts that are put up, not just only by them, but by other people. I'm looking at their responses to those posts. I'm looking at videos they put up. I'm looking at how they promote. I'm looking at how they work with their own teams. I'm looking at all these various things, religiously observing. And so when I see good things, I give them a call, I send them a text message, I let them know that I appreciate what you're doing. I see what you're doing. It's okay. Good stuff is happening. Okay, I can tell because we put forth a good effort. Well, when we religiously observe, we're putting forth an effort to say, okay, I'm going to be on purpose about my observation of you, and I'm going to do this in such a manner that it's going to be so systematic, so religious, if you will, that it's going to become almost stern and almost hardcore. Well, we don't want to say that out loud like that, but that's kind of how it is. If we don't pay that much attention to, the Bible talks about take heed, right? So take heed is to pay strict attention, and we would take heed or pay strict attention or be religiously a religious observer, if you will, so that we can actually know exactly how to respond to people. Because as a leader of leaders, if I respond the wrong way because I haven't been observing things, that will send a message that I don't care. Did you hear that? It sends a message that I don't care. So when I'm observing things and somebody does call me, it may be that they call me instead of me calling them. And they call me with a incident. They will know if I've observed or not by our conversation. And I don't get everything, but they'll know that I've observed enough about their life to know, because I will bring up certain situations, even though they're calling me for something that they didn't anticipate talking about. They will know at that point that I've been religiously observing them as an individual. Now I've got 10 people on the team right now, 10 people, looking to have 12 on our Santa community. That's the same number that Jesus had, by the way, 12 people. I thought that's a good number, right? Jesus is a good role model. I'm going to role model myself right after him. I encourage our leaders to do the very same thing, by the way, so they can have 12 on their team to do something on a bigger scale and make things happen in a way that's going to be beneficial for the kingdom in the long run, and not just to one individual. See, because I can only do so much, but I know that with 10 people and even 12 people, bringing in 12 people apiece that are actually working together in synchronization, you've got a wonderful, wonderful team that's really powerful. That's how the power of the team gets really big. The team gets so much power in its numbers because of because they're so close together, but they're also working as leaders leading leaders. It never stops. Leaders leading leaders. So that's why I start with leaders that are doing things as opposed to followers. Now, people do start. This is a side note. People do start with followers, and that's a good thing. Nothing wrong with that. I started with followers initially when I got going. And I've identified the leaders in our church, for instance, and begin to help them lead and send them out to start churches and that kind of thing. That's been over the years, we've done all that stuff. But even now today, when I'm in a community like this, because we're a bunch of Christian folks, all go to different kinds of churches. Every one of us has different kinds of leadership styles, different kind of leadership training, and the whole deal. I had to identify people that I didn't know their style or their preferences as to how they wanted to be led. But I had to prayerfully identify them to the place where I can get to begin to go ahead and intentionally pursue them. And then number 3 would be to actively engage with them. And I would begin to purposely release them. And this the most joyful thing, is to get purposely released. And they go like, yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Somebody believes in me. Hallelujah. And then the observation part, they're not nervous about me observing them, because they know that there's been a freedom for them to express their vision, a freedom for them to express their mission. That's why that in the sequence that we're going right now, going back up to the point where we're actively engaging with them, we actually take the time to understand what people want to do. And as I do that, and then I say that I'm going to observe you, or they know that I'm observing them, because all of our leaders know that I'm observing, right? But they don't have to do it in fear, because they know that I'm observing them based on what they say they want to do. And so when I'm able to communicate with them, I'm only able to communicate with them in such a way that I want to help them do what they say they want to do. And sometimes they're surpassing the same thoughts and ideas that they had, or vision or dreams that they had. They're surpassing that. And that's exciting. When we have that conversation, I've religiously observed them in a big way, and we're having that conversation. They're saying to themselves, yes, it's working. Somebody believed in me. They believed in my dream. They believed in the aspirations that I had. They believed in the people that I can build. And yes, it's working. Nothing like leaders leading leaders and seeing it work. Because there's oftentimes you've been in situations yourself, I have as well, where I've led something that did not work. I've been there. I know what that's like. I don't like it, didn't like it then, don't like it now. But on occasion, we flub. We don't do as well. Pastor said it sounds negative. Well, it's the truth, okay? And just swallow it, deal with it, okay? It's real, okay? It happens. I wouldn't sit here and lie to you that I don't flub, I don't mess up. I do mess up, okay? I don't hit the mark all the time. Sorry, I'm not perfect. Sorry, okay? But that's part of the deal. Number 6 here, I believe it is number 6. This is the fun part again. Another fun part for me, because I have a chance to bring some correction to people. But here, before I bring the correction, I do what's called complimenting. I compliment people first of all, before I critique them. I tell them how great a job they're doing, because there's always something great that somebody's doing. I'll let them know how much I appreciate them, how much I appreciate the way they've given forth a strong effort to keep their ministry flourishing and touch the lives of people. I compliment them, and I think they may blush or whatever, but the reality is that it's real. That those are real compliments. Now, I'm not just trying to get to the place where I want to correct them and just give them this nice stuff up front, little fluffy stuff up front. I'm giving them the real. I'm going to give them the real in reference to the compliments that I give them, but I'm also going to give them a critique if there's a critique involved. Sometimes there's not a critique involved. It's just a compliment and we just move on. But when there's a time to critique, there's a certain critique will come up, but it will come forth in the area of love. See, as I love people and I critique them in love, it's received in love. Because what did they just receive from me? A compliment, a loving compliment that bless them for the thing that they have been doing. So they have now this good feeling, this good sensation, this goodness that's being pressed upon their heart by somebody, their leader, me. I'm pressing this love on them in this compliment, and then I come behind it with a critique, a loving critique. I may say something like, I noticed that you decided to do something a little bit different this time than you did last time. The last 15 times you've done it, it's worked fantastically well. And you chose to make this one change this time and it didn't work so well. You consider changing it back to the old way? Critique, that's all it is. Ask a question and they say yes or no. Do I make them do it? Don't make them do anything, because these are human beings, but also adults that have their own vision. But I give the critique in such a way that they understand that if it worked 15 times one way and you're trying a new way right this very moment that didn't work, and they want to try it again, I'll say, listen, you got evidence on how it's going to work for you? Go ahead and go for it. Obviously, they don't have the evidence, so the possibility might be that they go back to the way they were doing it before that wasn't working effectively. Okay, so when we do that, again, the critique is got to be a loving critique, not something that's over the top and really hurting people. Then there's area of correction. Now, correction is just flat out me telling them you're wrong. Okay, here's what you did wrong, and we've got to change that. And I do that in a loving way as well. And often people know, well, this is it's not a secret. I don't have time to play. I'm a nice guy. But when it comes time to bring correction or bring a critique or anything, things of that nature, I'll bring it because I have to. I have responsibility, because it's always sooner or later. Did you hear me on that part? It's always sooner or later. I much rather do it sooner than later. I didn't always prescribe to this situation. I was always something by give them more grace, give more grace, give more grace, give more grace. Well, I will graciously correct somebody then. Okay, that's what I'm doing now. So gracious correction has to happen so that people can begin to grow effectively now. When would you rather grow, now or later? Grow now and later. But if you start growing now, you also grow later too. So we'll start the process right now, so you'll get a chance get that out of the way, and you've got the compliment, you've got the critique, you've got the gracious correction, if you will. So those are the 6 things that we've got going in. And the last one we'll talk about today is this one here: empower leaders to build teams. Now, notice I didn't just say team, build a team, but build teams. And see, I'm looking at leaders right now that are going to be building teams, not just one team, but teams. And that happens not because the leader himself or herself is just going out and grabbing all these people together. They're actually taking the time to prayerfully identify individuals. And that's what I'm asking them to do now, is to prayerfully identify individuals, to intentionally pursue them, to actively engage with them, and then also to purposely release them. Now, that's the part that sometimes leaders have a difficulty with, because if I release them to do something, they might get better than me. Well, Jesus said we do greater things than him. Did he get jealous? No, he didn't. So he's allowed us to become the best we can be and even be better than him in certain things of our lives. Isn't that great? Well, we ought to have the same kind of attitude to release people that can be better than us. I want to see people do better than me, because I'm still connected to them. They're still connected to me. So I'll get a little bit of that opportunity to say, thank God I was a part of that life for a moment. I've had a chance to just meet some folks that had come back to our church not too long ago. They were our first youth pastors. And now seeing them traveling the world and doing the things that God has blessed them to do, and them coming back and giving credit to what God did at this little church that they were part of, and saying, our foundation is here. It's always been here. And God did this to build us up, to send us out. Now we go to the world. That's awesome when that happens. So you empower leaders to build teams. Now here's what goes on. Those teams begin to feel like they can do the same thing you can do. Those teams feel like, well, gee, I just been empowered to lead. I've been empowered to build a team. I've been empowered to be one of the big boys and the big girls. I have been empowered to do this thing on a scale that is pales in comparison to the things I've done in the past. This thing is amazing. Listen, I'm ready to go for it, because they've been prayerfully identified. You've been intentionally pursuing them. You've actively engaged. You've discovered what they really wanted to do in their life. You help them understand who they are, and you purposely release them. And you get to a place where you say, I'm going to observe you as well. And you observe their life to the degree that you know exactly what's the best thing for them. You do. you know the best thing for them. But then you have to do the complimenting and the critiquing and also the, I call it gracious correction. So you do that, do those 6 things initially so that you can help them to be empowered. So as you're empowering them, they won't be taken by surprise as a result of what you're doing in their life as an empowering agent in their life. I'm an empowering agent for many, many people. Some are part of the Santa community, some are not part of the Santa community, but I empower a lot of people that have had a chance to prayerfully identify where they happen to be in life. Some are never going to be part of the Santa community. Some are having to be married individuals. Some of them have to be young people that do things in life. Some happen to be pastors. I empower other pastors as well. And so what we're doing is helping these leaders build teams. And when any team gets together, here this one team now, one team gets together, that's great. But you got 2 teams getting together with the same mission in mind. 3 teams getting together, 4 teams. Listen, multiply that thing out and you begin to see something happen that's far greater than what you can think of or imagine. That is the difference between what we do and how we go about doing ministry that makes us a little bit different than a lot of other ministries that are out there because we, again, prayerfully identify. That's number 1. Number 2 is intentionally pursue the individuals that we're looking to, that we've identified. Number 3, actively engage with the folks that we've intentionally pursued. Then purposely release those same people to go ahead and do the ministry that they've been called to do, and then religiously observe them in a big way. Then we compliment, critique, and correct as necessary, but we do a little bit of everything at that point. And then lastly, we empower leaders to build teams. That is how we go about doing this stuff, guys. It makes it a really, really big deal. And I wanted to just share that with you this evening so you'll be able to know for yourself that this is not just a small thing, it's a really big thing that we're doing today. Guys, if you have been a part of this session tonight, I hope you've been blessed to receive some information that you haven't received before. But tonight you can go over to, if you choose to, leadership.greatmobilebiz.mobi, and that's where you'll be able to see the replay of this Google Hangout right now. It's actually live right now, but the replay will be up right away on leadership.greatmobilebiz.mobi. I'll go ahead and place that on the wall as well. And if you wanted to, well, we actually have the recording. I'll have a link to the recording. I'm going to put that up, not the phone number, but a link to the recording of this whole thing as well. So those of you that are driving, you'll be able to listen to this while you're driving, the replay of it, at least at that point. So tonight, guys, I appreciate you being with me this evening. It's 32 minutes. I wanted to be here 30 minutes. I'm a little bit longer than necessary, but we got 32 minutes of information for you tonight about the power of a team. So look forward to talking to you again. Bless you. Have a fantastic night. And go ahead and empower somebody through innovative leadership. We'll see you around. Have a great day.